Make sure to fail forward, fail often. And then the faster you fail, the faster you actually succeed. And so knowing that, you're going to get. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and I wanted to thank you so much for all of your support, the kind words, the messages, the texts. I got a couple of calls asking, hey, man, are you okay? Just in response to my I'm quitting post that I recently made and the podcast episode, the email I sent. And I wanted to thank you all for reaching out. It was extremely enlightening to see how many people actually do listen, who do care, who want me to continue the show. And I did get a couple of messages, a few of them here that I want to read out for you. Thanks for doing what you do, sharing your experience and growth with others. I've listened since the end of season 1, and this was the first podcast I listened to regularly. That was one that I got. Another one said, this is a great message that I spread. I tell my friends that if they just stick with it, they won't fail. You are truly an inspiring individual, Chris. That was just in response to one of the recent emails that I sent out. Another one, hey, Chris, I just wanted to let you know I get a lot of value out of your podcast and I'm not a real estate agent. Obviously, you need to make the call of what works best for you and your life and goals, but I just wanted to make sure it was known that your work is very much appreciated. So that was a nice long email. Thank you so much, Michael, for that email. These emails do mean a lot to me. I mentioned in that episode, I'm kind of a words of affirmations guy. And the problem that I have mostly with the podcast is like I get tons of listeners, but I guess people listen more passively. And Michael did bring up a good point as well, because as a listener, you kind of assume that it's a one-way street. You have a good knowledge and you feel like you know the podcaster because you've been listening to all their stuff, even though they probably have no idea who you are and you're not connected. I have connected with several audience members, with several podcast fans who I've had on the show, who I've, Adam Osborne was one guy who was listening, who reached out. Ricardo Matos, my buddy Ricardo in Portugal, had him on the show as well. He's been very supportive over the years, and it's been cool to watch his YouTube channel and follow and grow as well. I also got several comments on YouTube saying, very heartfelt message, brother. Life's all about exploring new options and asking ourselves if what we are currently doing is working for us. That was from 365 Driven. That's actually my business coach, Tony Watley. Had him on the show as well before. Lillian, thank you so much for your message as well. She mentioned, as a real estate agent, I definitely understand what you're saying when it comes to lack of scalability in this business, which is why I've also made some shifts. And then several other comments. Heather Jones on YouTube, I feel the same way. Crazy64, thanks for sharing, Chris. Maybe the answer lies in scale. Maybe it could be higher margin. Coming from someone who has zero experience about real estate, cheers. My buddy Ricardo left a nice long message as well saying, a podcast, it does impact a lot of people positively, but it is hard to kind of tell the gratitude because it's not as easy for listeners to leave feedback like likes, comments, and all of that. It is just a listening platform. So very good point there, Ricardo. And then what's the next step? It sounds like Ricardo got influenced by my content to get a life coach. The life coach worked with him to find his fundamental values, and those 2 to 3 core values are what he is making sure everything he does fulfills those core values that are in alignment with what he's doing. And then someone else also mentioned Yamipar on YouTube. I feel the same way. Thanks for sharing. So just wanted to share some of that because it was pretty exciting for me to just remember that people are listening. They do care about the content that I've been creating in my message, but I'm just really making sure to tune into myself. I know I'm a words of affirmation person. Those things light me up, like all these messages. It felt great. And yeah, my mom tells me those things all the time. She texts me and tells me on the phone calls and stuff, but like your mom's always going to say that. You can be the worst student ever and you can be a total piece of crap. And if you have a decent mom, they're going to still think you're the best kid ever, right? So I feel like I need those affirmation words from people in my sphere, in my industry, people who listen to my content, who actually implement the advice that I give, because then I know, okay, it's not that I'm assigning more weight to those words than I would to like my family members, but it's kind of your family and your, spouse or significant other's job to support you and to give you those positive words. A lot of times they have a harder time telling you the truth if things aren't as great as you think that they are. So I'm tuning into myself. Again, I know I love hearing these types of words of affirmation. So I'm asking myself, how can I get more of that? And what's been on my mind is possibly coaching people in a group setting where I can have some scalability there. I'm not just doing one-on-one coaching. It it would be one to many, maybe 10, 15 people in a group at a time. I love seeing the look of transformation when I share something or someone has a breakthrough and I can see it on their face when they're like, oh my gosh, that's such a great idea, or I didn't know that was possible and you unlocked that for me, Chris. And so that is why I'm tapping into what feels good inside. What is my current business model? What would my ideal business model look like? And how do I get closer to doing that? And I've had several people mention that they love the show. They've listened to me for years. They were open to coaching of some sort. I've had several people ask if I'm doing coaching of any kind. I never really offered it. I did a little bit of coaching for a few people, wasn't really sure, I guess because it wasn't defined. Everyone had different needs and different expectations, and I didn't have a process for it because it was all kind of just each client was a different situation. And so with this group setting, I'm hoping I can achieve a little more of that uniformity where we're talking about a certain topic like real estate, for real estate agents specifically, because I have been that and done that for a few years, figured out what works, what doesn't work, how to achieve this lifestyle business that a lot of people don't have. And because I have that self-awareness, I know the type of person I am and what lights me up, and that's kind of what I'm chasing. And so I'm stepping into this and I'm actually opening myself up to new opportunities. And I feel like the coaching space is calling my name a little bit because I'm already on a ton of paid and free group calls. I'm always in book club calls, clubhouse calls, Zoom calls with my Arete people that I have put together, organized. I've provided my Zoom room. I've recorded the meetings. I've uploaded them to Dropbox and shared the link for people to refer to later. So I've been doing all these things for several years already just because I love it. And so for these reasons, it's kind of a selfish way of combining my passion with what I'm good at, with what I already have the knowledge and expertise on, as well as the technology. You know, I've already figured out the systems and processes for scheduling, organizing, recording, providing the link for people to review at a later time. Again, this also kind of touches on the scale. So I wanted to thank everyone for reaching out, for your kind messages and words. It is awesome to know that you are still listening, you do still care, and many of you selfishly were like, hey, I know this is selfish, but please don't quit. I listen to all your shows. Hearing the transformation in your life and knowing that my podcast played a little role in that, that's pretty freaking awesome as well. Just to know that maybe I inspired you to quit a job or to start a new business, and perhaps you're crushing it like way more than me, and that is amazing. I'm rooting for you. And maybe you're still trying to figure things out and you're kind of feeling like I'm feeling now, and you're like, man, I thought this was the path. I'm not passionate about that at first idea, or it didn't really work out. What do I want to do next? Either way, I'm glad to have you here, and I do appreciate you being a listener and kind of just following along, being a fly on the wall in terms of my lessons and learnings and the people I've brought on the show. And so tune into what lights you up. What do you love doing? Don't just try to do something for the money. It makes so much sense now, because at a certain point when things get hard, if you're not passionate about what you do, if you're just doing it for the money, that's not going to be enough. Like, money can only make you so happy. If you're not fulfilled, if you don't enjoy what you do, it's not going to be sustainable over time. And so for me, I want to tap into the human interaction and connection. I love helping people. I love seeing their face light up when they have that eureka moment. And that's something that I think I'd be missing if I only stuck to creating content and selling digital products alone. Because if I'm making the videos, that's the problem that I'm having now, is I'm not getting great feedback on people getting value from this and actually caring and listening to the podcast or watching on YouTube. So if I can get more of that from this group coaching setting, that would be an amazing way for me to fill my cup as well as fill the cups of others, because you can't give to others if you cannot take care of yourself, right? It's like the oxygen mask thing again on the plane. And so that is the direction that I'm looking to go to. And for now, I'm going to continue to release new episodes, although the content may get a little more focused. Perhaps I will dial this down from 2 episodes a week to 1 a week, like I mentioned in that episode, to get more focused on a niche, which would be helping real estate agents specifically, possibly investors as well. But I think that I really want to niche or niche down. You may have heard the quote, "The riches are in the niches." I've heard that years ago. I've met several people that are so insanely niched down that it just makes sense that niching down further is actually going to be more beneficial to the people who end up signing up for that coaching or mastermind or whatever it is that I offer. Something else that's pretty profound that I heard the other day, I think this was a Dan Kennedy thing that he said. I don't remember the exact numbers or the examples he gave, so I'm kind of filling those in, but this was the idea. If you're generic, like if I were to create a productivity course and sell it to everyone and anyone, most people would probably pay $27 or $47 for that because it's not very specific to a problem. It doesn't really speak to them. They're not even sure if they really need it. If I took the exact same course word for word and I marketed it and sold it to plumbers, I could probably charge, $1,197. If I went even more specific and I made the exact same product and marketed it to millennial plumbers in Michigan, like I'm just trying to get extremely niched down here. This is just an example. Again, I could probably charge like $2,297. So the point here is that the more specific you get, the more narrow focus you have, the higher price point you can charge, because whatever advice you're giving to those people will be far more valuable than just giving generic information to anybody and everybody. And so again, I'm not just in it for the almighty dollar. I mean, I'm thinking about high ticket, high scale. How do I obviously achieve the income I want with the type of business of my dreams? That's important, but I know as well that if I were to make 40 grand more this year, like would my level of happiness really change very much? No, it would not. And yeah, I could donate more and stuff. So that's kind of more, I'm looking at the altruistic side and trying to motivate myself, because I'm not extremely money motivated, although I know that the more value I make, the more money I make, and the more impact I can make by giving back down the road. So that's kind of how I'm reframing so that I don't sabotage myself into never being a multimillionaire from the thoughts and the ways that I'm thinking about money. But I know I'm not really in it for the almighty dollar, because I plan on adding way more value to my coaching clients than I charge them. And I'm going to have an awesome guarantee. I do want to refund to people if they don't see the value, they're not getting what I kind of promised they would out of it. I don't want their money. I will give it back, right? Again, I realize that it's not all about the money. I want to make impact in other people's lives. And if there's a cool way for me to make an income and make the impact at the same time, then it won't necessarily be charity work where I'm giving away all my best coaching secrets and systems on calls for free. And I can actually kind of make a living off of that as well, in addition to the real estate business that's pretty much already on autopilot. So that's where I'm at currently. I realize that right now I'm a specialist creating generalist content. And if you think about that example I just mentioned, if I'm a generalist, I can only sell the product for $27. If I'm a crazy niched down specialist, that same exact product could go for $2,000, $3,000 and make way more impact, because it'll speak the language those people speak. It'll actually impact them in their business, and they can make the changes in order to see drastic results in their businesses and in their lives. And so I do realize, thank you once again for listening, that so many people who have reached out, they're like, hey, I've gotten so much value. I've started businesses, I've switched businesses, I quit my job from your show. That lights me up for sure. But I also realize that if I really, really want to help people in that specific niche, I need to get more focused and help people in my area where I have the expertise. I'm not teaching on something that I haven't done. I am in the trenches here. I have built kind of some level of success that others aspire to attain. And that is where I am now. I'm not quitting entirely. It was a little bit of a clickbaity title. Obviously, I'm not just going to quit and retire overall. 31 years old, hopefully have a long, healthy life ahead of me. But the thing is that I'm going to be quitting certain things in order to open up space, time, and energy to pour that into what I feel is more in alignment with what I'd like to do. Again, possibly coaching groups of people who are interested in learning my systems, my processes, as well as just having accountability and some sort of meeting frequency with other like-minded individuals that they can actually call up and text and, grab dinner or lunch with from time to time whenever they're in town. That kind of thing is what I am looking to create. And so it does sound like many people who reached out said, thanks, Chris. I felt similar. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. I'm dealing with the same thing. And so it sounds like I'm not alone and you're not alone. Just understand that it's a step on the path, and then make sure to fail forward, fail often. And then the faster you fail, the faster you actually succeed. And so knowing that, you're going to get much further along if you fail, take consistent action, learn your lesson and implement, than if you're trying to be a perfectionist, because those who try to achieve perfect never actually take that first step. 3 years later, you failed 200 times and you're way further than the person who's trying to craft that perfect business plan, but hasn't done a single thing about it. So that's it for this episode. Thank you once again for being a listener. I do appreciate all the support. I do appreciate your time, and I look forward to catching you on the next episode.